Good afternoon, boys and girls, and welcome to Science. I'm Mrs. Walker. I'm here today to talk to you about the unit we're going to be starting in class right now. We're going to start talking about living things and the study of living things. In our science class, we'll call it life science, but you also may hear it called biology. If you take the word biology, bio, which means living or life, and ology is the study of. And we put those together. We talk about the study of living things. Now, I'm outside in my yard, and I see lots of living things around me. The beautiful trees that are growing, the shrubs, the different plants and grasses. I see myself because I'm holding my camera, but I also see my dog here, who's a living thing. That's Champ. He's a star. He's a celebrity. He's part of our science class today. So we're going to be talking about living things and life science and how living things survive and adapt in the world around it, because we all have to be able to live and eat and get energy. And you notice a nice sunny day and the sun is helping to give energy here to the plants and to the living things on our earth. So we're very lucky to have that. In fact, there's living things everywhere around you, and there's still even little living things on you. You've got bacteria on and in your body that helps your body to survive. And there's good bacteria and bad bacteria, but definitely these even tiny living things that we cannot see that exist. So today, Mrs. Reynolds is going to work with you on talking about the classification of living things. Now, when we say that we have to classify objects, we're saying that we want to take different objects and put them into groups. You might have called it almost like sorting things into different categories of things that are similar between each one of these living things, and separating them by the things that make them different. So, for example, this morning I took a walk around my yard, just in my backyard. I didn't go anywhere too far. And I found some living things, or things that were part of living things. This beautiful green leaf hasn't quite changed color yet. This other green leaf. And then I found some other little fallish colors starting to come in my yard. These little yellow leaves, different. This one looks like a pretty different plant than the last one. And then this green leaf. So what I did is I thought to myself, how do scientists group these living things? So what do the scientists think about when they're trying to put the living things into separate groups? I lost one of my leaves, I gotta grab it. I don't know if that's the same one. But so I thought about looking at this group of living things, this group of leaves, and I thought, scientists could put them together by color. And I could put all of the green leaves together and all of the yellowish leaves together. That's one way scientists could group these leaves into separate groups by something that's the similar. These are all in green, and these are like yellowish or brownish. So by color, I could separate them. I could even separate them even more by doing all green, all yellow, just that one leaf over there, and then the more brownish ones. Another way the scientists might decide to group the leaves is by their shape. Now these are all more rounded or ovalish, and they all kind of have one part. And I would move this group into that category because it still has only one part. Where these leaves here kind of spread out. They almost remind me of like the palm of my hand, right? It almost spreads out like the palm of a hand. Same here. They have these little veins that go through them. So the shape of those leaves are different than the shapes of these leaves. So that would be another way I would think to classify, to break those leaves into groups. Now, today, I know Mrs. Reynolds gave you some cards, the animal cards to look at. And you've got 2 pages of cards with 9 animals on each card, on each paper, and you had to cut those up so that you'd have 18 cards. Now, just like what I just did with these leaves, how I separated them into groups based on things that are similar and things that are different, I'm going to ask you to do the same thing with those animals. Take a look at the animals. Think about, how are they alike? How are some of these animals alike? And put the groups together based on how the animals are similar to each other. Those similarities, think about the different things that they might share. So, for example, maybe they live in the same type of an environment. Maybe they live high in the tops of trees, or they like to build nests, or maybe it's the way they move from one place to another. So you are going to classify or group the animals based on different characteristics or traits that are similar. So, for example, dogs and cats have fur. So maybe you would put all the animals that have fur in one group and all the animals that do not have fur in a separate group. That's one way you could separate animals. You might also make a different grouping and say, okay, well, instead of doing fur and no fur, I might say the amount of legs the animal walks on, or how they travel. These animals walk on 4 legs. These animals fly. So that might be another way you choose to separate into your groups. And you may have more than 2 groups. You can have 3 or 4 or 5 groups. That's fine. So I want you to take a moment. Mrs. Reynolds is going to pause this for you. You're going to separate your cards into groups, and it's going to take a couple minutes. After you do it one way, I want you to come back, and Mrs. Reynolds is going to talk to you about some of the ways you chose to group your animals. Then, after you do that one time, I want you to try to group your animals a different way. See if you can be creative. Maybe by listening to others in your groups, when you're listening to the class discussion about how other people group their animals, maybe that will give you a good idea about a way you can make that work. I'm very interested in hearing how you choose to do this, boys and girls, and I hope you have fun doing this activity of classifying living things by the ways that they're similar and the ways that they are different. Have fun, boys and girls. I'll see you soon.